The line cook's new kitchen rules, some things never change. Respect. The first general principle of the kitchen is to live with an attitude of respect for coworkers who may have different skill levels, may be of a different culture or race, different gender, and different education levels. They may have beliefs that are contrary to yours, but they are all worthy of your respect. When they tie on an apron, they are part of your family. Respect applies to the established chain of command in the kitchen because it exists for a reason. You can respect the position even when the person holding that position rubs you the wrong way. Yes, chef is not a blind commitment to the person, but to the kitchen's need for order and organization. Respect applies to the ingredients that a cook uses and the source of those ingredients: farmer, rancher, fisherman, cheesemaker, processor, and distributor. It also applies to the equipment and facilities that every cook uses. It is imperative that every cook treats these resources as if they were his or her own. Respect applies to the foundations of cooking, the time-honored and proven processes and steps used to build flavors and consistently excellent products. Finally, respect applies to the history of the proud profession of cooking. This does not infer that cooks should not move forward and create their own history, but when we honor those who came before, we establish the same pattern for the future. Ownership. The second principle for cooks is to always honor the dynamics of work environments. Professional cooks know how important personal tools are to anyone standing before a range. A cook's tools, the space they have identified as their work parameters, the ingredient mise en place, and the station setup are all sacred to the cook and their ability to work efficiently and effectively. Cooks will never violate these parameters. Cooks must also practice adequate cost controls by maximizing the utilization of ingredients, minimizing waste, following procedures and, where important, recipes, and ensuring that perishable goods are rotated and stored correctly. The financial success of the restaurant is in everyone's hands. Team. The third principle relates to the interaction of all crew members as a true team. This means that everyone is in it together. The more substantial help is for those with limitations and weaknesses, those still learning, to become effective listeners, and each cook has the other cook's back. Professional cooks avoid pointing fingers, and when they do something wrong, they take responsibility. When a team is formed, the group wins as a total unit or loses as a total unit. The fourth principle relates to one of the most critical tasks of any professional cook: maintaining the highest level of sanitation, cleanliness, and safety in the kitchen. Clean as you go must become second nature to every cook. This applies to their personal work area as well as all common areas. This is what the guest expects and what every cook must expect. The fifth principle for cooks relates to the responsibility to pass it on. All cooking techniques and procedures are public domain. There can be no secret processes or methods in a team environment. Every cook and chef has the responsibility to share and help others build their proficiency. In a team environment, there is no shame in admitting that you don't know how. The only pity is refusing to admit it. When a cook asks for help building skills, help is freely given in a professional kitchen. The sixth principle is something that comes from the heart and soul of a cook. There will always be room for cooks who function effectively at the job of cooking. But to truly excel, a cook must feel that this is what they were meant to do. The professional cook has a passion for the ingredients, the process of cooking, the history behind a dish, the creation of flavor, and the presentation of a dish. When it is part of a cook's heart and soul, then cooking will produce magical results. Excellence. The seventh principle is at the core of everything else. Professional cooks are always seeking out excellence. Perfection may never be reached, but excellence is a commitment to moving in that direction. From the most straightforward task, cutting perfectly symmetrical vegetables, trimming tenderloins, cutting steaks, filleting whole fish without leaving valuable meat on the bone, respecting the steps in preparing a perfect stock, mincing herbs, clarifying butter, or the exactness of a plate presentation. A professional cook takes each task seriously. Every step in the cooking process deserves your best effort. Professionalism. As fundamental as it may seem, the eighth principle sets the tone for outstanding work and excellent cooking. When the cook looks sharp, clean, pressed uniform, neat grooming, clean shoes, and so on, they are more inclined to act professionally. When a professional cook treats the job well, those working in the kitchen professionally can expect the same in return. This is how professionals reap the benefits of an appropriate attitude. Being all in. The ninth principle is a focus on commitment. Professional cooks know that the job is never over until it is complete. To some, this means investing more time than the schedule shows, while to others, it means focusing on ways to improve efficiency so that the job can be completed in the time allotted. In all cases, the job must be done and done correctly. Honesty. Finally, the 10th principle pertains to building an environment of trust where cooks are upfront, honest in their approach to the tasks at hand, willing to take responsibility, able to accept critique, and willing to offer that critique as long as it includes a how to improve lesson, and careful to respect the standards of operation that allow the restaurant to remain successful. These 10 principles are not rules. Rules are demanded of those who work for a business. Principles are stakes in the ground that each person accepts as part of who they are. When this occurs, cooks follow those principles because it is right, not because it is demanded.